Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 5, Captive. The episode is rated TVMA, so this video be. There will be spoilers for the live-action Walking Dead franchise, but only up to, including this episode, and another episode that I loved. So I think we're just gonna dive right in and go as chronological as it'll end up being. And, yeah. I think, let's see, I believe the first thing is not something I clearly remember. Oh wait, maybe it was the medical attention for Reed. But yeah, that was very well done. Daniel continues to be one of the best characters. And yeah, very clever, this thing of like, yeah, he's gathering information, by the end of that, like, because yeah, Reed thinks he's intimidating them, and I love Daniel's line about, I've met my share of men who frighten others. The one thing they all have in common, none of them had to say how frightening they are. And yeah, he finds out about, Connor being Reed's brother, and the what is it, the five boats total. So yeah, very nicely done. And yeah, those little bits where he just pokes and prods, literally, at the yeah, the wound. And yeah, I don't know. I liked it was it reminded me of like a torture session on like Alias or something. This thing of like who's getting information out of who. And I think that's when, yeah, and the couple of times where he this thing of like, Chris, like, you can go, like, you don't have to stay here, and he keeps insisting that he should. And by the end of the episode, he shot him, and he says, oh, he was about to turn, but it becomes quite clear not only was Reed not about to turn, shooting him did make him turn, because he didn't, you know yeah. And I've heard that that is an actual thing. There are some people who will try to shoot someone in the head, but they won't hit the brain. And yeah, let's see. I guess that pretty much covers the yeah, and Ophelia pointing out, this is, what did she say? It's going to get infected, and Daniel says that he has it, he'll deal with it, or something like that. And yeah, by the end of the episode, Reed has turned, although, the yeah, it's it's one of those things of like, could they have kept him alive that much longer with that thing in his chest? Like, I think if they tried to remove, well, no, yeah, eventually they did remove it for bringing him, but that was after he was dead. If they tried to do that before, I think it's going to leave too big of a hole. Yeah, I think the next thing might be Alicia on the boat with the breakfast thief. Or wait, was it breakfast? The steak thief. And yeah, there is a lot at stake, and she doesn't want Alicia to have very much of it. And yeah, these little things about, like, he did put a lot of effort into preparing that, you know, and that thing about, even now, actually especially now, it's important to have a hot meal, every day. And yeah, the part where, so she's about to, she gets up on the on top, and it's not really very viable for her to like jump in and try to swim or something. So very nicely done on that. Yeah, I appreciate how early in the episode we actually find out just how difficult it would be for her to get. She's only able to escape because the yeah, um, Maddie and Travis arrive, or that Maddie arrives, and she and Travis, provide the means of escape. That was one case where it was good that she missed the boat when she jumped. I mean, anyway, yeah, I really like the tension between, with her and Jack. I could practically see the Telltale game cursor hovering between options when she decides to say that she does trust him, which obviously is a lie, but it is that thing of like, it's probably best if he still thinks she does. And holy shit, that line about, you made Jack upset, you heartbreaker. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand her point of view, but my God, that is, yeah, wow. Anyway, I think the next thing is that, yeah, so we're told, Strand is recovering, but he still has a ways to go. They did mention that they thought frostbite? Hypothermia, that's it, might or would kill him. And yeah, I like to, Luis is like, you gotta tell her, or do you want to tell her, or should I? And he's just like, there's no telling her anything, she's made up her mind. And by the end of the episode, she did manage to save them, and it remains unclear if they will be able to make it to Mexico. And they have all those problems with, how many people are they gonna, But yeah, Strand's wonderful line: everything's a negotiation. And let's see. I think that's when we see the thing about, everybody pulls their weight. So she has to. Holy shit. No wonder she refuses. And he accepts and just is like, okay, just, jot down notes. Help me pick a boat, But yeah, and oh my God, the part where he says, you reeled me in. This fucking guy. Jesus Christ. I don't know, it's giving incel. I seriously, yeah. And yeah, the thing about, the Abigail, yeah, returning too soon. And the part where she gets close to him and she sneaks out the knife. And then afterwards, it's just like this little moment of tension, but he's not thinking, did she just take my knife? He's just, it's, yeah. And, it feels like romantic tension to him, and she's okay with letting him think that that's what's going on. And I think that's when we have the part where so Chris is watching Reed, and Nick closes the door on that chapter. Is it too early in the year to celebrate Chris Nick? Because I really appreciate the relationship between these two, because it would be so fucking boring if they were just like, well, one's dad is with the other's mom, so of course they're going to be enemies. No, it's, I appreciate, some would say, no, I think they should be enemies. But I absolutely love that there is this, because genuinely, Nick wants to help him. He sees this kind of thing of like, this could go badly. He recognizes from himself, when you lose someone close to you, it can lead you down a dark path. And he really doesn't want that to happen. And just, yeah, and it was also great, the conversation, Maddie and Strand with, never again send Nick out on a mission. he wanted to. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, you know. And I think that brings us to the part where Travis. Yeah, so Alex, it's really no wonder that she, yeah, and that she agreed to. Although, yeah, I guess technically by the end of the episode, it does seem like she didn't. She said, you know, Connor said he could use me. No one uses me. Fantastic line, and genuinely, it was such a great little bit there with, yeah, you know, Travis doesn't rationalize it, doesn't make excuses. First he says, "You're right. I knew what was going to happen." And that is the thing, like, he kind of did, because it's not like Strand has been vague about how he feels on, you know, like the whole, you know, can we have someone we know sleep over maybe just a tiny little bit, has been very much resolved. Strand made it very clear, you know. And that is it. I feel like Travis, he's in that situation of like, he's not ready to admit that he might be in a no-win situation. He might be dealing with, you know, like, he he might not be able to save anyone who isn't already on that boat. And he's not ready to admit that, you know. And because I can kind of, you know, hypothetically, let's say that he had made sure that she got on board, and then as soon as Strand showed up, he could make a strong case for letting her stay. And I mean, I think ultimately, I don't think Strand would ever agree to save, I'm afraid I forget his name, but yeah. Jake. I think his name was Jake. No, sorry. His name was Robert Paulson. But I don't know. I think if Alex, I think circumstances could have been, you know, better for if that had been the situation. Especially if Strand allowed the two brief goodbye. I do think if not, Alex would probably have hit him very hard whilst shouting, "You should have let me talk to him." Anyway, yeah, you know, then they talk about how she had to finish him off so that he didn't drown because he begged. And Travis had to, yeah, you know, finish off the, because she was turning at the end of season 1. And yeah, like, genuinely really, really well done. And it feels consistent with her characterization up to this point, but it's also a turn I absolutely did not foresee. And I think that's when we have the, yeah, I believe that's when we get the yeah, so the gunshot. And yeah, Chris insists that he was turning, and I appreciated the weight that that was given. Not just the gunshot, but the fact that he said he was turning. I think overall they say it 4, maybe 5 times. The words Chris said he was turning, or you know, especially if you include Chris saying he was turning. And then after all of those, Ophelia, you know, asks the question. He wasn't, was he? And again, this is definitely, yeah. So I love the way that they are exploring Chris, because I genuinely have no idea if he's going to be able to turn this around. Nick notes that, you know, if you don't keep yourself busy, grief can send you to dark places. And it seemed like it was working. It genuinely seemed like, I mean, it's something, we know that because like ever since like this entire season, we're 5 episodes in, he is consistently trying to keep himself busy. He is not okay with just sitting still. That is abundantly clear. But of course, the thing is, like, we have to wonder if he is starting to just try to use killing as processing his grief, which is obviously extremely unhealthy. On principle, I don't believe in judging someone for the way they grieve. Everybody grieves different ways. But there is such a thing as engaging in behavior that you can't take back, that might be destructive to yourself and or others. And this qualifies. So that is, yeah. And we also know Reed might have said something. I love that we didn't see it. Because I am genuinely not sure. Maybe Reed finally shut the fuck up. There's a first time for everything, I feel like, but it's also possible that he just kept pushing because he was so confident that, because there was that thing, Daniel pointed out, the fact that you're telling me how scary you are means you're not. And especially now that he's been told that, I could imagine that he would push even harder to try to scare, because he thought that would get him released, And he really should have been watching the show up to this point. He'd know that that's not going to work with Chris. Anyway, I think that does pretty much. I am also a little worried about Daniel for the voice. I appreciated that they made it very clear visually. There's not someone saying that, because I will say the moment that I heard someone speaking Spanish to Daniel, I was thinking Lewis, but nope, he's not there. And yeah, he was about to act on what he was being told, And yeah, genuinely clever that they managed to turn it around with the fact that he turned, because yeah, if they put a bag over his head, no one's going to be able to tell that he's turned, and is very, very clever. And I immediately, as soon as he started like growling or moving, I forget which came first, I was sitting there thinking, I mean, that gives them options. I don't know if any of them are good, but they could maybe work with this shit. And I guess that pretty much, I feel like there's at least one more scene I wanted to. Right. Oh my god. The part where Alicia gets to briefly talk to Travis was also really, really great. And yeah, this whole thing of like, because as soon as she finds out that the Abigail is heading back, she thinks that means that it's still Reed in charge of the Abigail, and he didn't release them on land as he had said he would. I guess that pretty much. But yeah, oh my god, the part where Jack said, I know I briefly talked about it, but I wanted to say a little bit more. This idea that Alicia was gonna be the new Jack. She was gonna, not Rose, she was gonna lure people in with a sob story. Like, wow, that is fuck. And I guess I think that pretty much brings us to the no, yeah, I think that is when, yeah, so Alicia, you know, and breakfast thief, steak thief, is trying to take the to lock her. Wow, I swear I got enough sleep. No, wait, shit. Last night I didn't, because I went to the movie theater. Fuck. Whatever. Yeah. So Steak Thief wants to, yeah, wants her in a cell, perhaps with incel Jack. But yeah, and she's even got the baton. And yeah, ultimately she does manage that, and that was wonderful. I love a good, yeah, hoisted by her petard. If she wasn't trying to lock up Alicia, Alicia wouldn't have been able to lock her up. And God, the tension of the prison exchange was phenomenal. And yeah, oh God, the part with you know, the communication. And I loved how it went from, Connor thinks Reed is just being an asshole brother. And as soon as Madison gets on, it completely changes. And then the thing about, you can't talk to him, but he is alive. 1 hour, I'll go myself, and yeah, Nick, we can understand, he is like the thing about everybody else needs you. I don't know if that makes you the best candidate either, soldier. That is an unfortunate, because he is essentially saying that he is expendable, and that is exactly why she doesn't want him to go. Like, does he want to, perish on this, because that is like his drug problem. Like some people do use that kind of thing as a way to, actively destroy themselves. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone who has an a problem with addiction, but for some it is. And I feel like that pretty much, yeah, the tension of the actual exchange was so thick. Like, I'm sitting there thinking there's so many things that could go wrong. And then we have the thing about, well, you were supposed to bring Alicia. Yeah, as soon as I see that my brother's okay. Oh, great. There's nothing wrong with that plan. Oh my God. And yeah, like a tiny bit of growling from Connor and Reed. Well, I guess Connor will be growling now. And they're fucked, but it does go, and yeah, the hood comes off, and he bites, and I bet that takes Connor back to their childhood. He didn't used to draw blood though, and yeah, the other guy attacks, and Travis coming in with, like, his hands are tied behind his back, and he like headbutts this guy, and then out come the hands. He's throwing those things, and yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases he's a pacifist, but sometimes he does not pass on the fists. And unless you're talking about like passing them on to someone else's fucking face, and yeah, ultimately, yeah, we have the part where Jack is trying to talk, Alicia out of going back, and yeah, it would be a lot less compelling if it didn't kind of strike a chord, because I mean, he says those people will leave you. I mean, not that many of them, but Strand, yeah, he would, and it's not like they can all watch him every second, so yeah. Oh, I think I completely forgot to mention, I did love so during the whole Die Hard thing, the fact that Strand, he wanted to use the submachine gun, but Daniel removed the clip because he wasn't expecting the Spanish Inquisition. He was thinking it would be in a different situation. So yeah. I love that by the end of this episode, I don't know for sure if this is the last clash between the Abigail and, well, the group of boats, I guess, belonging to the former man known as Connor, now Walker. I don't know if the people who remain are gonna consider this the better outcome than if they pursue, because once again, we do know it's faster. It's faster than the Abigail. And on the other hand, are they even more motivated for revenge? Reed and Connor are both dead. The like hypothetically, I don't even know who is next in line for the maybe Steak Thief. I'm not sure who would take over the power, but if they have to like demonstrate to the rest of the crew that they're the one to follow, getting revenge for the boss and his brother, that's a pretty definitive way to like establish that, you know? Yeah, I think that pretty much. I feel like there's one more thing. Let me just real quick go over the episode mentally, fast forwarding through. So let's see. I guess that is about. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic way to end the episode. And yeah, can hardly wait to see what happens next. If they're gonna make it to Mexico in time, and if it's gonna be, because like they have money for 2 people. Is there gonna be any way that can be adjusted? And yeah, also just the fact that, I mean, I already mentioned that Travis is, it's this thing of like he'd like to do the right thing, but this is a situation where you might have to go with the lesser of the evils, and so he's maybe in denial about that. And this is the kind of thing of like, I mean, I appreciate that, can they know how many there are left, by the end of this episode on the boat and the other boats? But wouldn't the right thing be to prevent them from doing this to anybody else? Like, I appreciate, it would be difficult to like be certain within a short amount of time that they'd kill all of them, and Maddie appreciates like they gotta get to Mexico, which yeah, I guess Travis and Alicia also know, but yeah, I don't know, would it be impossible to sabotage the boat to at least slow it down significantly, maybe? Or I don't know. But yeah, great when you know, yeah, she purposefully slides off the roof and into the water, and Jack just has to stand there and going, "Bye, Alicia."